So today we have with us in the studio Aldwyn Alternate. So Aldwyn is an outgoing photojournalist who has worked in traditional media, newspapers, magazines, TV and radio around Australia for about 30 years. She was first interviewed by the media aged 10 as a top Australian junior table tennis player and went on to work in the media, interviewing stars, writing, performing, producing and educating in just about every form of media imaginable on and off stage and in business. So Aldwyn, let's say we were listening to someone give a talk. Would your primary interest be in the person who is delivering the information or the information itself?
Now that's a very good question. Well, initially, we tend to judge people immediately as we see them, probably as whoever's watching this right now is probably judging me right now. It's very hard to see someone and actually separate the person from the content. So I think initially we tend to make a judgment about the person speaking and whether we like that person, and if we like that person and the energy that they give off, then we're more inclined to listen to what they have to say and be more interested in the content. If we don't like what we see, if we think the person's maybe arrogant or we don't like the feel of the person, then we would tend to switch off to the information. So when you say more important, I think actually both of them are important. I think we need to feel, when we see someone speak, we need to feel that we connect with them somehow and we can relate to what they have to say, and they need to have some kind of credibility, otherwise their content is pretty useless, I think. So I think both are actually very important.
Okay, thank you. Next question is about unity and diversity. So what is more important to you, unity or diversity?
That's another great question. I actually think unity in diversity is very important. I love diversity. I love all the cultures, particularly here in Australia. We're so multicultural, and I love the fact that we have so much diversity here in Australia. And I think the challenge there is to find unity within that diversity. I know a lot of people are challenged by different cultures, by difference. People are challenged by difference because it makes them feel uncomfortable with where they are often. Like people say, people coming from overseas and taking our jobs, some Australians will say things like that. And I think that's very small-minded thinking. I think really we need to celebrate the diversity on the planet, and we need to look at ways that we can all work together to learn from each other and to grow as individuals. Because, people that have never left their suburb or never left their city, I think generally they're pretty boring people. Like I want to hang out with people who are open-minded, who've travelled, who've experienced different cultures. Look at the lovely food we have here. Imagine, we'd be stuck with fish and chips if we only had English people in Australia, or burgers. Thank God for diversity as far as food goes, and culture, and costumes and music and dance, and the diversity is a wonderful thing. And I think the challenge is to find that unity and find a common ground amongst the diversity.
Okay, so is there a downside to unity?
A downside to unity? Well, I don't see a downside to unity. I think if people are in unity and if they are peaceful, I don't see how there can be a downside to that, because I think generally in life people choose either love or fear, and unity to me is an expression of love. I see unity as love, and I think when you're in love and you're in your pure expression of love, I don't see how that can be negative for anyone. So I don't see a downside to unity. So
is there a downside to diversity?
Only if people see it as a challenge. So I think it really is about people's perceptions. I think diversity is actually a wonderful thing. I think it's like the colours of the rainbow. Imagine a rainbow if it was only one colour. Okay, it would be a pretty boring rainbow. But a rainbow with multi-colours is a beautiful thing. And in fact, I saw a rainbow just yesterday an hour south of Sydney, driving to Sydney. I saw the most magnificent rainbow that actually went the full length of the sky. And it was very rare. I saw all the colours of the rainbow, and it was just magnificent. And that is what diversity is to me. It's like the colours of the rainbow. It's bringing all those colours together. And for them to work in unity to create a rainbow is a beautiful thing, and you can create magic there. So I think it's just your perception that can be a negative thing, not the actual diversity itself.
Okay, so what does the saying that birds of a feather flock together, what does that mean to you?
Well, what that means is that people feel more comfortable in their own ethnic groups. That's why you see a lot of Chinese people, Indian people, etc., sticking together with their groups, because they feel more comfortable with people who look like them, who speak like them, who know the same language, who are the same culturally. So people do generally feel more comfortable with their own race, or with their own, with people who are like them. People feel more comfortable that way generally. So. Does that answer that question?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great.
So should we allow diversity in politics?
Yes, I think diversity in politics is a fantastic thing, because it's good to have difference of opinions in politics. I mean, diversity with politics is having a difference of opinions. I think if we have a whole lot of politicians with the same ideas, then you're not thinking outside the square. So I think that is a good thing. I think it is good to challenge politicians and to challenge views around politics, and to be open to looking at things in different ways to grow as a nation.
So should we allow diversity of viewpoint in schools and universities?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think if we don't have diversity of opinions, we don't have individuals. So I think, really we need to encourage individuality. We need to encourage people to speak their truth from within. And then within that, if everyone was doing that, you could also have unity. It doesn't necessarily mean that you've got diversity just because people are speaking their truth. I mean, everyone is individual, right? And if we encourage people to be the best they can be as individuals, and not just a pawn of the system, not just a 9-to-5 worker who's living in the system, someone who thinks entrepreneurial, someone who thinks outside the square. All great inventions started with an idea. And if those ideas didn't come through, which were diverse ideas, if they didn't come through, we wouldn't have the great initiatives we have today, such as phones and such as camera equipment, such as everything we have right now around us, all came from an idea, from an individual idea at one point.
So should we allow diversity of viewpoint on a topic, even if some people are offended?
Yes, absolutely. I believe diversity is a wonderful thing, and I think the people that are offended because whatever is happening goes against their ideals, their values. So I think really it's a matter of people need to look at how they look at things, how they judge things. And, like they say, people walk around with different coloured glasses, different rose-coloured glasses and different viewpoints on life. And when you see that you've got the glasses on, you actually take the glasses away, then you can see clearer. So I think the big challenge is coming to situations, when you hear things, when you see things, actually coming with an open mind and seeing things like a blank canvas, and being open to what people are presenting, whether they sit with your current ideology or not, and actually be open to new ideas and to new experiences.
Okay, so the next questions are about facts and feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So what is more important, feelings and emotions, or facts and logic?
That's a good question as well. Interesting. Well, where do facts and logic come from? I mean, I actually think feelings and emotion are more important, because I think we need to listen to our heart, and that's where feelings come from. We need to be true to ourselves, listen to our heart, and that there's nothing logical generally about what your heart says and what moves you in life. It's not logical, it's not factual. I think when you look at what drives someone, it needs to come from the heart, and that's feeling based. And at the same time, it's important to be able to control your feelings. So my dad used to always say, anger is danger.
So is there a context where feelings and emotions would be more appropriate,
mm-hmm.
and a context where facts and logic should be more appropriate?
Yeah, probably in some areas. Yeah, I mean, if you're
what sort of areas?
Like for example, if you're looking to invest in real estate, you would look at the facts, the facts and figures around why that investment would be a good or not so good investment, not just on the feelings like you like the property. It could be in the middle of nowhere, so you need to analyse: is it going to be a good financial investment? With an area like that, you need to look at facts and figures.
And like science.
And like science, yeah, and like science. I mean,
and history.
Yeah, history, yeah. I mean, they say, look at the past to see what's coming up in the future. I mean, there's people actually saying that the moon isn't real at the moment, and I mean, this is quite fascinating. There's people out there saying the moon is a hologram, and that's not actually real. So I mean, there's probably a lot out there that we think is factual, and we've been fed is factual. Like Captain Cook discovered Australia. I mean, there were Aboriginals in Australia for millions of years, and it's like Captain Cook came here 200 years ago or so, and we say Captain Cook discovered Australia. Well, these are facts that we're fed as in our school days, and I think a lot of facts and figures that we're fed aren't necessarily true. So I think you need to do your own research and not just believe facts and figures that we're fed in school.
What about the feelings and emotions? Do they need to be examined as well?
I think you need to check in with yourself sometimes. Yeah, I think you need to check in to because a lot of people say, well, they don't know what they want to do in life, and they question their feelings. So I think you do need quiet time, meditation time, even quiet time to really get clear on why you're on the planet, on what your purpose is on the planet. And I often say to people, if something moves you to tears, if you see something in life, like for me it was animal cruelty. So, animal cruelty would always move me to tears. I'd be so upset by it, and I knew I had to do something in that area. So I knew that was part of my calling, to be an animal activist on the planet, and which I've done now with my animal action events over 10 years now. I've created events and I'm encouraging action for animals, and because that moves me, and that moved me to the core, it hit my feelings, and I expressed it and I acted on it. So I think it's not just getting clear on what the feelings are, but actually acting on your feelings is really important. So having that courage to do that.
So are you responsible for the feelings of others?
That's a good question too. See, I've done a lot of personal development work, and a lot of different courses, they say you need to be 100% responsible for things in your life, whether it's other people feeling things or whether it's you feeling things. So that's a very interesting question. So you can take on being 100% responsible. However, at the end of the day...
For the feelings of others?
You could take it on as in you are responsible, which I know, which doesn't make any logical sense, right? Because people say, well, if someone doesn't understand you, that's your fault, not their fault, that they didn't understand you, because you didn't express yourself in a way that they would understand you. So that could lead to someone misinterpreting something that you wanted to say, which happens all the time. There's miscommunication all the time. And at the end of the day, you can't control someone else's feelings as such, but you could take a stand to say, well, I'm responsible for that person getting the message that I want to portray in the way I want to portray it.
Okay. So who is responsible for your feelings?
I am. I'm responsible for my feelings. I'm 100% responsible for my feelings.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it more important for you to consider someone's feelings or for you to discuss the facts?
I think you need to think about, because when people get emotional, the facts go out the window. I think it really comes down to, really actually getting present to how people are feeling. If someone's angry about something, they're not going to be thinking logically or about any facts or figures. They will just trigger and get angry. Some people just freeze, and some people run away, right? So there's different automatic, fight or flight reactions that people have, and when they're in those modes, they don't think logically. So I think, and sometimes you need to give people space to go through that and then come back and readdress whatever it is you were communicating.
So is it more important for you to feel good or for you to consider potential consequences?
Well, I aim to feel good as much as possible in life. I think you actually need a bit of both. I think you do need to think about potential consequences.
Well, let's say there was a situation, yeah?
Yep.
And you could actually say, what I want to do is just feel good.
Right.
Or you could go, yeah, but there are potential consequences. So let's actually examine the consequences. And you might go, shit, I can't do that. That's scary. It makes me feel really bad.
Yeah.
And so then it's like, well, which one do you want? Do you want to explore the consequences and feel bad, or do you want to come over here and just feel good?
Yeah.
So
Look, it would be fantastic actually to have both. However, whenever you step out of your comfort zone, you're going to be uncomfortable and you're not going to feel good at some point. So to grow in life, you actually need to step out of your comfort zone and at times not feel good so that you can have the result you want. So for example, if you want to lose weight, it might not be comfortable initially to go running or exercising or whatever you need to do to lose weight, or to not eat all that chocolate that it might not feel good not to do that. However, the consequences are, if you really want that consequence and the end end result, then it's going to take feeling bad at times or feeling challenged to do that. So
there's a whole new, I don't know what it's called, fat movement, where what they do, they have fat people, obese people, who stand up in front of an audience and they say, you can be healthy at any weight.
Right.
And for me, I look at that and all they're doing is actually really saying, all I want to do is feel good. I want to feel good.
Right.
And they're not considering the consequences.
Right.
Because it's too painful for them.
Right. And it's very unhealthy to be fat, isn't it? And overweight. And you know,
and that's a fact.
And that's a fact. And such a large proportion of the population are overweight. And there's another fact, I don't know the exact figures.
Yeah.
However, it's pretty huge, particularly in Western society.
Yeah, so there's facts and feelings.
Yes.
And there are those people who go to great efforts to avoid the facts.
Yes.
By saying, no, you can be healthier anyway. It doesn't matter how big you are, you're still healthy.
Yes.
As they have their oxygen sort of drip, whatever.
Yeah, so it comes down to values. How much do you value your health as opposed to feeling good?
Yes. So the next question is it more important for others to be nice to you or for you to toughen up?
Oh, I think it's important to toughen up. I think in that case, definitely important to toughen up, because you will never be able to control how other people feel about you. And in fact, the more successful you become in life, more and more people will probably not like you for some reason, because we do have a glass ceiling thing, I believe, in Australia particularly, where people do not like to see other people successful. They actually get very challenged by it. They try to bring people down, and so you will be attacked more and more the more successful you become. And the more you even step into your flow in life, people will try to tear that down, because people don't generally like to see other people happy. As awful as that sounds, I'm talking in general, now masses of the population, if they're miserable, they want to see other people miserable, because that makes them feel good. It makes them feel comfortable when other people are miserable like they are. And so that's why it's important to hang out with people who are on the same wavelength of you, people who are encouraging you, lifting you up in life, so that you can grow together.
I agree. Please take a moment to like and subscribe, remembering to click on the bell. Then check the comments box below to join our team of patrons and crew. And you can always find me on Facebook at the Peace Mapping Group. The link is in the comments box. And once again, thanks and all the best to you.